Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Berlin E-Prix qualifying session here in the FE1 series for FRL. I'm joined by my co-commentator, Joshy, who we haven't been here for a
Wait, could you hear me?
now I can hear you. You left the VC.
Oh,
Continuing, I'm now joined by Joshy, as I was saying before, for the Berlin E-Prix qualifying session. Hello, Joshy.
hello. How are people? By the way, just to let you know, Dennis is joining in a minute.
Yeah, we have currently, I believe, 4 people will be in the session. I think for this qualifying session, so we wait shortly for the lights to go out. I believe we're just waiting for one more driver to line up at the end of that pit lane before that pit lane light goes green. I believe it's the Envision driver of Dennis that we are waiting to join. Predictions, Joshi, for qualifying here in Berlin.
Well, obviously it's a new track. I know one person here who I am a half expected to do well is Alex Tong. He's had a fair few good races here. He's actually had one of his few race wins at Berlin, which is actually quite good for him. So I'd expect Alex Tong to maybe be up there at some point. Obviously, you know the usuals and Nick. You know we're gonna have Dennis up there. Probably never heated as well. Yasuka and Old as well. So honestly, it could go any way. I'd assume maybe a Nick pole position. Uh, then maybe Yasuka, Dennis, Alex. That's my prediction for the top 4, but I don't know if we go anyway.
Yeah, I believe you wouldn't be wrong with your prediction. Obviously, there's quite a few fast drivers, also a very fast reserve of Yasuka joining in the qualifying session today, which I was not aware of until now, but that is my fault. Believe we're still waiting for Dennis. Classic FRL not starting on time. It's classic FRL attendance as well here. Just give us a little bit and we shall be underway shortly.
Alex. Oh, that Takis. Yeah. Oh, Super Strike is showing as well.
Sean is here as well.
I'll be 2 seconds.
Okay. So just a little more people in attendance now for the qualifying session here. As we see John also line up on this grid here. On an onboard from himself. We wait shortly for, I believe it's just Dennis we're waiting for now before we take that pit lane light goes green and the qualifying session goes underway, and I just we are waiting shortly. Not much more of a wait. For the qualifying session to go underway, but obviously it'll be a quite compact qualifying session here in the Berlin E-Prix. Obviously, once again, I'll just quickly go through the qualifying format for everyone that is new in FE1 or anyone that's new to Formula E itself. So the first qualifying stage is 2 group stages, Group A and Group B. Both qualify in separate in separate servers for us, and then the top 4 of each group go through to the knockout stages, where we'll have the qualifying session of the what are they called again? The quarterfinals, sorry, the quarterfinals, and then into the semi-finals of the faster drivers. They get 1 lap to get, or one warm-up lap to prepare for that 1 lap. Then they have 1 lap, 1 hot lap just to get that lap set perfectly on point. Here in Berlin, and this isn't, I would say, not much of a tricky track to drive. It's got a width to it, but tricky turns would be turn 10, I'd say, where the attack mode is located. Obviously, drivers are not able to get attack mode in the qualifying session here as well. They will be allowed to get they will be allowed to get their attack mode during the race, but whilst qualifying happens, they are not allowed to get their attack mode here at Berlin. So we do wait still for Dennis to join. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars lined up. If I reset real quickly, just to get everyone on my leaderboard, so we can get the maximum viewing for you guys. Maybe I'm a little blind. There's only 4 people in the car, and not 4 or 5 people on the server. So we await for the lights, and just currently 6 minutes over the wonderful time we are hoping to start at, but that's all good. We can wait that little bit of extra time before we start. That's nothing unusual in FRL, of course, here. Ones to watch out for, like Joshy said, would be Nick. He'd be looking to take pole position here. Alex Dong, like Joshy said, one of his few race wins here. He does show dominant pace around here, but we haven't seen with the new cars whether he can dominate around here, show his absolute wonderful pace that he has, but loses out in some races here at Berlin. And would he be able to turn out on pole position today? He's not yet had a pole position in FRO this season, season 7, so for all 10 rounds, so he hasn't had any here. So once we see that green light, session will go underway, and Alex Dennis has now joined the server, so it's green here, qualifying, and now we see Formula Racing lead the pits first, so he'll be the first one to take that hot lap, hopefully, if he doesn't crash and mess up on his out lap here. But people do normally push on their out lap because it's formally they need to hit that line right immediately to prepare for the next few hot laps here. So now we see him come around this turn, and normally they won't try and get this close to each other due to vision lag, and that Nissan livery looking wonderful behind that Jaguar car, and the Jaguar car now coming into a tricky turn, and he gets that perfect just right there. And now you can see the cars separating before they start their hot laps. They separate because due to the vision lag, and obviously they don't want to get in each other's way, because when you get inside someone's car, obviously you can't see much. And now Formula Racing looks like he will be the first one to take the hot lap of the session. Now he comes flying around the final turn, and now he comes to start his lap. We'll have a little commentary for this lap. So he comes down into turn 1. The first few turns are tricky through here, and he brakes nice and late and goes wide on the entry and comes in close on the late apex there, but that isn't going to be the line he was hoping for through there. He gets very close to the wall there. Now coming through here, wanted to touch that apex, perfect. He goes around that turn and now comes around that right turn, now coming down the back straight, having a wonderful lap here. Looks like here person faster than all the others looking behind, and it will be a actually it's 15.7, so it is currently the slowest and the second slowest first lap time, first sector here, and Nick going slightly faster behind, and he goes spinning round that turn there and gets in the way of the other drivers now coming on their lap, and Nick will come through. Nick has purple first and second sector, so we'll go on board him. He just needs to finalise these final few moments out, but has a really bad hairpin there, and the driver in the Porsche XL, driver looking to get away a little bit, just a little bit there. Sorry, did I say Porsche XL? That's not Porsche XL, that's now they come through here and doing a wonderful job they do coming around these few turns, and currently Nick is fastest with a 106.4, followed 6 tenths behind his Super Striker. Now they're all pretty much cramped together, so Vision Lag will be getting in their way, but they will still be trying to set that good hot lap in Formula Racing, just a little bit behind, staying with them. And John himself coming through this back straight, and he just seems to be slowing down a little bit. Nick going faster in that first sector, so Nick proving his pace and now passing both the cars, but both cars staying with him. Super Striker still staying with him, so Super Striker is still currently sort of on pace with the driver. It's obviously a 15.2 so in the first sector, and then it's a 27.9. Super Striker goes personal best in the second sector. This tricky hairpin to get right. Nick didn't perfect it last time, but he does perfect it this time, and Super Striker slows down weirdly, and he just sort of goes in the wall there. Don't exactly know. I think he lets the drivers through. Vision Lag could be getting in his way, slightly laggy. He could be around these few turns at Berlin. So he just lets him slide through currently, and it's a 106.3 for Nick. It's not a bad time around Berlin, and it's going to currently secure him provisional pole in the group to get him through to the knockout stages of qualifying. So obviously it's only going to be one person gets knocked out here in this qualifying, since there's only 5 in attendance in Group A, but he comes down onto that back straight now, and he's doing a wonderful job. It's 15.3 in the first sector. It's actually X Dennis who goes purple in the second sector, so X Dennis isn't on a bad lap. I'm just going to reset quickly for you guys so we can get X Dennis on that leaderboard and have a quick spectator of him. Now X Dennis does comes across the line, and it's a 105.9, so a superb time from the Envision driver here. Nick now coming around these that hairpin. It's a 15.3 in the first sector, 27.9 in the second sector, and Super Striker also on a very fast lap, but he's going to get caught up behind that Nissan driver. Will that affect his lap through qualifying through this group stage? Now coming through there, gets a bit slidey, so does the Nissan driver of John come through a bit slidey on that final turn, but does that ruin his lap? Not very much. It's a 106.1 for him. It's 2 tenths to separate the provisional pole to go through to the knockout stages and provisional pole of the group stage, of course. So Super Striker and Nick looking quite close. So it's 3 tenths from first to third, and Formula Racing and John will be battling currently for that elimination zone. They'd only be putting Dennis actually so confident. I think he's returned back to pits, and Nick's obviously going to want to show his pace, so he will stay out, and so will Super Striker stay out. So Dennis looks so confident, he's just going to stay in the pits, and I wonder if that could defect him. Obviously, he still could possibly get knocked out here, so the other drivers just need to have a really good lap around here to knock out Dennis. And if Dennis doesn't leave the pits, then that could be a problem for him, since we know all these drivers have pace. So obviously these are all the odd numbers in the standings currently, and we see the drivers now coming around to start possibly their penultimate lap before their final lap, and Nick comes around that first turn, lovely, goes very wide on the exit, very wide on the entry, but comes close to that apex on the entry of turn 3. Now coming through here, you got to get it perfectly right, and he does get that perfect, and now comes through that back straight, and this back straight is quite long. He has time to prepare for that heavy braking zone up into this turn here. Now he wants to brake at roughly 100 meters, and he does brake perfectly at 100 meters and gets that apex perfect. Soothes it around that turn. Wonderful job for him. Now comes through that and gets a nice, very good apex through there. Now has to perfect it in this hairpin. This is where drivers are losing a lot of time or gaining a lot of time on the other drivers, and this is where they have to perfect their lap. And now he gets that wonderful vet's very close to the wall. That's what he has to do to get that perfect lap around here. And now coming through that final turn, he does that very well and doesn't get slidey on that exit, which means he'll finalise it out, and it'll be a very decent lap in this 106.4, so that he doesn't improve, but he did improve in his second sector, and I believe Dennis did come back out of the pits, so he's going to be cautious with it and save it out, and few drivers will be their final laps before for some it will be their final laps, and Nick, if he doesn't get going soon, it will be his final lap. But he does get going now, and will he make it across the line? We don't know. Oh no, he's just spinning, so I guess we won't make it to I guess he doesn't plan on doing another lap, so Nick with a 106.2 could still get knocked out by John and Formula Racing here. So Nick isn't going to make another lap, and we will see who can make another lap, and Dennis will make another lap. So we will spectate Dennis on his final lap coming up shortly. So he comes through that final turn, doesn't get slidey, gets very close to the wall, perfectly timed from the Envision driver, ex-Dennis, and this Dennis is showing a pace around Berlin. Now coming into the first few turns, and he comes in very tight, and takes a different line to all the other drivers, hits the apex. That's not going to be convenient for him, and he seems to be bouncing all around on them apexes. That's not going to be very good, but in fact he goes 15.2 in that first sector, and it's a purple first sector for him, so maybe he's taking a more optimal line than other drivers through that first turn, and he goes on that big back straight, preparing for sector 2. He brakes nicely at 100 meters, wants to get very close, and he does. This drive, Dennis is getting it perfectly, very close to the wall here, and he gets a little slidey out there, but that he will perfect that off and just let that slide. It's a 27.8, so it's not a bad second sector as well, and he could still go faster through here. And just a little update on Formula Racing and John. John has gone on 15.6 in that first sector, so he's going faster as well to get out of that knockout stages. And will it be possible? Yeah, Dennis now comes across the line. It's 106 flat, so that won't be enough to improve his time, but he's surely confident that he'll go through. In fact, he will go through, since Nick won't be setting another lap, and if we go on board with John now, he comes through that hairpin, gets that perfect, so it's 15.6 in the first sector, 28.5 in the middle sector, which isn't the greatest middle sector, but he could still possibly beat Formula Racing out here, and he comes down, hits the wall, and that exit though, and that's not going to be great, and it's a 108.2, and John is going to go out of the Group 8 qualifying results, and I'll double check if I can get the second group results here shortly.
I've got them. Do you want to read them out?
Yeah, if you can.
So on pole position for the group, we have Yasuka. He's at a 105.9. Not sure what the fastest in Group A was. Alex Tong comes about 4 tenths behind them with a 106.3. That is actually exactly 4 tenths behind as well. That is weird. Eratikoy, the Polish man, comes with a 106.545. Just about 6 tenths shy of Yasuka, so it's not too bad of a lap time. And then Benny Banny is set a 107.4. Not the best lap time. We'll see if he can improve during the knockout stages.
Yeah, so obviously a bit of a shaky qualifying for Nick, the championship leader, qualifies in P3, so he does still make it through to the knockout stages. Dennis comes in that first place with a solid 105.9 for him, so that won't be a bad lap, and that compares to Yasuka's lap time, I believe, and I'm not too sure who is faster at the moment. Hold on, I have the times, and Yasuka is just slightly faster in the group stages, but it's all down to who can perfect that final lap when it comes to it, and when he needs to perfect that lap. So just a little update in the quarterfinals. So the first quarterfinal we'll have is Dennis, the Envision driver, versus Benny Banny. Then Formula Racing versus Yasuka. Then Nick versus I believe that is Alex Tong. Yeah, so Nick versus Alex Tong. Two people that could be possible contenders for pole position today, going ahead already. And Super Striker versus Eratikoy. So it's not a bad quarterfinals here. It's some are a bit unexpected. I'm quite surprised Benny Banny got through, beating Taki's out, and it will be a very interesting qualifying session for in the quarterfinal stages, and we will get a few predictions from Joshi himself for the.
We will. Right. Okay. Hold on. I need to see who's going against who. They've been released yet? Yes, they have. So, Brenner versus Benny Banny. I mean, I love ex-Dennis, but I have to go Benny Banny. I mean, what a specimen that man is. I think he can take out ex-Dennis. Formula Racing versus Yasuka. Have to go Yasuka. He's just, he's 2-3-time champion. Formula Racing. He obviously has got pace, but I'm going to back my Finnish man. We've got Alex Tong versus Nick. And I know you mentioned Nick's inconsistencies, so whether he will keep that inconsistency and whether Alex can stay and maybe try and beat Nick, we'll be able to see. But I think I'm gonna back Alex. Weird one, but I'm gonna back Alex. Obviously, isn't that close to nicking the championship, but I think he got the pace. And then for Super Striker and Eroticoi, that's interesting. I'm gonna go for Super Striker. Obviously, he got first in his group for a reason, so
Yeah.
I think it's the best, safest option.
And now these already leaving pits. Dennis leaves the pits quite early. There, unexpectedly actually there. Now there is a car on track, but I believe that should get removed shortly. So Dennis now comes through them final turns to start his warm-up lap, the lap where he needs to dedicate this to clearing his mind and getting it absolutely right for the next lap. When the next lap obviously means all or nothing here. But it depends, because Benny Banny, in a not rude way, he is slightly slower than Dennis just on paper, but inconsistency is a key word in FRL, and everything can change in literally a second here. And especially Berlin, some turns can be very tricky, like the hairpin. You can have to perfect that hairpin, just a hairpin that Dennis is coming through now, and I believe Benny Banny has come out the pits as well. I don't have him on my spectate board, but he comes around this final turn, and now we are with Dennis for his hot lap. Here he comes through that first that start finish straight, and he breaks nice and early for the first 2 turns, and he comes in very nice. Clean line close, and then comes through here without touching the apex, which we've seen him touch the apex before. It's a 15.2, so faster than he set in the previous group stages, and he's been very fast around these few turns. Needs to show his dominant pace around here, now coming down the back straight. This turn up in front is very tricky to get right, but he breaks the 100-meter zone where you will need to break to get that perfect line through there. Gets very close to the wall on the exit. Perfect line from the Envision driver now coming through here. Doesn't touch the apex there and gets slightly close to the wall. A little bit of contact made to the wall. In fact, through that fast flat out turn. Now comes into hairpin. He needs to get this perfect to finalise his lap. It's a 15.2 in the first sector, 27.8 in the second sector. It's a very, very good lap, possible 105 here if he continues this pace. He gets a very bad line through that final turn and goes slidey and hits the wall in that final turn, which will affect his lap, but it is still a 106.6. Benny Banny can beat that. He has the pace to possibly beat that. I'm sorry, I need to reset real quick so I can get the drivers for you. Benny Banny coming shortly though to sector 2. I can't see him right now, but I now have Benny Banny coming through this flat turn now. Doesn't need to touch the wall, gets that perfect 28.2 in that sector. They just need to get really, really good. Last sector here, it's all up to Benny Banny. He goes wide into the hairpin. That's not going to be good for him. He's already quite a few tenths down from the first few sectors, and Benny Banny now coming through that final turn. Can he perfect this right? He could gain a lot of time here, but I don't think it will be enough, as we see Benny Banny now cross the line. That's 107.3, so Dennis comfortably goes through a 7/10 gap to the driver of I don't know. Sorry, wait, what team is that? Is that this is a really bad moment for the commentary. The Cooper team. We now wait for the drivers to come into the pits, and we'll have Yasuka versus Formula Racing. Obviously, the predictions are for Yasuka to go through. I think the odds are quite high for Yasuka to go through, and it'll be very, very bad if Yasuka doesn't go through. He is one of the most dominant drivers in FRL history, if not the dominant driver of FRL history. If people say FRL fastest driver, Yasuka comes in mind. He's fast everywhere he can be, and he's just faster overall. But some drivers have challenged him in races, and we do see Yasuka come out the pits now, and I'll leave you over to Joshi for this lap.
Oh wait, what? Oh, gee. Okay, wait, who? Okay, Yasuka. My guy, finish. Obviously, my prediction. I said he would get through. I still stick by that, and I'm also kind of depressed that Benny didn't get through. So I'm going to go cry for a bit, but we're going to be looking at Yasuka now as he comes around this nice little left-hander onto another left-hander. So a lot of left-handers on this track. There's also a left-hander like coming down the straight. You mentioned it was flat. I think it is, but I don't know how. I don't know if it is different.
Which one?
The one that he's gone up to now. I don't know if that even is flat, because I know I heard Benny. Yeah, I don't.
I
Oh,
don't think it is.
I don't think it is. I know I heard a few drivers earlier mention that isn't flat anymore. But well, we'll have to see. Maybe on his qualifying lap, he might do it flat. Although I don't see why I wouldn't have done it flat anyways to get more practice, because that is quite a difficult corner. But Yusuke is now going to come into the final corner of the lap, and he's going to start. Hopefully, what is going to be his get him to the next round in the knockout stages. So he's now going to come down into turn one. Very tricky corner turn one is. It isn't your traditional corner, and there's a car that's been left on the track. Right, that's great. Is that Benny? Well, that's fine. Yusuke now coming through this double right-hander. I don't think he hit the apex, but I don't think that the drivers seem to be. You know, you get probably a bit more speed through them corners now, trying to get a good apex now. Coming into the first straight. Oh, second if you count the main straight, or the one after the checkered the line. Anyway, comes down to the first straight into a very heavy braking zone. And now into this nice left-hander braking what I think is around the 100-meter board. We'll have to see as he's back on the accelerator. And we're going to see, is this flat? Oh, Yusuke hits the wall. I don't think it is now. So Yusuke's now hit the wall. That is going to put him quite far behind with Formula Racing. Not too far behind him in Sector 1. Is Yusuke not going to be able to get through this qualifying session? Yusuke now coming down to the final corner. He is going to have to get a good final. He does get a good exit out of that corner, and he's going to hopefully be able to set a decent time, potentially a 106.5, so only just a bit faster than what Dennis did in his previous qualifying lap. We now have Formula Racing, so that's a 27.845, but is he going to have more pace down the straight? As we saw, he did not hit the wall, unlike what Yusuke did, so he could have gained potentially a bit of time, but we will have to see as now he comes around to the final corner. Formula Racing has not set a bad lap so far, just has to have a good exit out of this corner in hopes that he can... Oh, he just goes a bit slidey. Is Formula Racing going to be able to beat Yusuke's lap time? He didn't beat him in Sector 1, he hasn't beat him in Sector 2, and he hasn't beat him in Sector 3. 4 tenths slower than what Yusuke set. It isn't a bad lap time, but not fast enough to beat Yusuke, and Yusuke is now through to the semi-final.
What an interesting quarterfinals, and Formula Racing was actually closer than many people thought he would be, and obviously he goes faster than his group stage qualifying time, so maybe it's the time of track development for Formula Racing, the Jaguar driver. And up next we have Nick versus Nick versus Alex Tong, so the two possible contenders for pole position, and Alex Tong will leave first. Some people could say Alex Tong followed in Yusuke's footsteps, and he's shown quite some dominant pace recently, the Porsche XL driver. Now we wait shortly for him to leave the pits, and I believe we wait for someone to come back to the pits, maybe, I'm not too sure. Alex Tong though. So he now leaves the pits, and he's going to start his outlap. Obviously there is that car in turn 1 here at the Berlin E-Prix turn 1, and that's going to be difficult for drivers to just try and block that from their sights coming into that first turn. And he's cruising around the track currently, just trying to prepare for that lap, and Nick will be coming out shortly to start his outlap as well. So the time is reset, and Nick leaves the pits as well. Just a little update on Nick for you. He has now left the pits to start his outlap, and now we see Alex Tong coming through this sector, and he did that turn very nicely, and now he's going to want to perfect these final few turns just to get it right through here. So he comes around that tight hairpin there, and he's going to come around this final turn, roughly braking at the 50 meter board, and now coming around that final turn, he's going to get a decent, a very good exit through there, and he's going to want to get that optimal turn 1 optimal line that we've seen Yusuke and both Dennis drive take, but other drivers not taking, and he in fact does take the better line through turn 1 now. Gets a very wide through the the double right-hander. Coming into the sharp left-hander where you want to perfect that before coming onto that back straight, and this back straight is where you can gain a 10.42 on your opponent. It's 15.5. It's a very good first sector for him. Now braking at the 100-meter board, coming into this turn where he gets very close to the wall in the exit and very tight, nice on that apex. Now coming through here, lifts off a little bit, coming through there, not quite flat in these current gen of cars, and now coming through here into a tight hairpin. He needs to perfect this to get it right, and it is currently a 27.7 in his there, and Nick goes 3 tenths faster in that first sector, so Alex Tong's going to have a really strong last sector just to qualify into the semi-final stages, and he has a really good final turn, and it's going to be 106.4, so not a bad time, faster than we've seen anyone else through here. Now we come on board with Nick, so he has a very good few turns, and we're going to wait for his sector 2, but he comes through here, lifts off slightly, takes a very good line, and it's a temp, so it's 2 temp different if Alex Tong does have a strong final sector, and Nick breaks very much early and takes a very much tighter line than Alex Tong, and he's going to get a bare exit. Is that going to be Alex Tong's line? We do not know just of now, but he comes through there, gets a bit slidey on the exit. He could lose very much a temp just coming out of there since the long straight. It's a 106.3, so very close between the two drivers, but Nick does go through with a stronger first sector, but Alex Tong beating him out in the second sector and the third sector, but it's just not quite enough for him to go through, and it's a 1 tenth difference, and Nick and Alex Tong currently went faster than all of the other drivers we've seen, but it's a shame for Alex Tong. I would say the odds are quite even for the two drivers, but Nick has gone through, and Alex Tong is going to be out of the quarter-final stages.
Can I just point something out?
Mm-hmm.
All my 3 predictions have been wrong so far.
Then maybe, what was your prediction for?
I think I might have got Yusuke.
Yeah, you got Yusuke.
I said Yusuke. I got Yusuke, I got Alex wrong, and I got Benny wrong. Benny would have been sick if I got it right, by the way.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
Maybe. We'll see. See Super Striker get to the semi-finals. Is he going to get pole position? Potentially. We don't know. Think he'll get pole position?
Super Striker, I don't believe he will get pole position. I think there's obviously Yusuke and Nick, but they all go against each other in the semi-finals.
Yeah, but Yusuke's not Dutch.
Now that is very true, and obviously
Nick is. Oh shit, Ratico's been out.
This is your lap, of course, Shoshi, so I'll hand it over to
I
you.
will. Thank you. I've also noticed that Ratikoi, being Polish, is driving a red and white car. Oh, why? There's a cat on the track. What the? Okay. Well, we'll have to see what lap time Mr. Eratikoi Polishman can set as he now comes around the final corner. Getting a bit slider there, coming out of the final corner, and he comes now to the line, and he is going to start. I think the line was like 3 years ago, but he is going to start his lap nonetheless. And there's still cars. All right, okay. If anyone's listening, can you someone like get rid of them cars? Anyway, Eratikoi going a bit wide there. I think that might not be the best. That's a 15.695. I think that's a good sector 1, but it might not be. We'll see when Super Striker sets his sector 1 in a couple, like about a minute's time. As now we have Eratikoi coming down what I think is the first straight. You can have whatever opinion you want. Some people might throw hands at me. No. Oh, as he hits the curve there a bit too much. He's trying to hit the apex. As now he comes around to this very flat, not so flat, kind of flat corner. And he gets a good exit. He sets a 28.8, not the fastest sector 2. Super Striker set a 27.6 on his outlap in sector 2. As I think I just heard Super Striker starting his lap, and Super Striker sets us 15.5 in sector 1. Very good sector 1 there by Super Striker. Eratikoi isn't having the best of laps. And he bumps his rear tyre on the wall, so he's going to be after hoping for Super Striker to make a not very, very bad mistake. It's just a 107.5. That's a very slow time. As we have Super Striker coming into this very flat, not so flat left-hander. We'll be able to see what sector 2 time is. I think did he tap the wall there? I'm not too sure, but it's a 27.68. That's a very fast sector 2. He just has to bring it home now. He can lose about like 5 or something tenths or 4 tenths. So he shouldn't be pushing too hard to lose all that lap time that he has gained. Or is he going to get a purple sector 1, a purple sector 2? Is he going to go purple in all 3 sectors? That's a very fine final corner there by Super Striker. I think it's Claire who's got pole position, and it is Super Striker. He's at a 106.4. A very fine lap there. I think, yeah, no, that is very good. That is a good lap. Good lap, Super Striker. Well done.
Yeah, it's not a bad lap from the Cooper driver, and just a little update that is not pole position overall here.
Fuck off. You know what I meant.
Of course. So just a little update on the semi-finals. So for the semi-finals, it'll be Suka versus Nick in the first semi-final. Then Super Striker versus. Wait, is it Super? Yeah, sorry. Super Striker versus. Hold on. Sorry. It'll be Dennis versus Yusuka and Nick versus. Sorry. Whoa. I've got this completely wrong. Dennis versus Yusuka and Nick versus Super Striker. So it's going to be quite an interesting semi-finals, and I think these drivers are all very fast, and they're all within the time limit to get within pole position of this. They all have the power to get pole position here at Berlin, but it's who can be consistent around these few turns, and Yusuka is out and starting his lap. So we wait. He comes down that back straight, or as like Joshy likes to call it, the first straight, but we all know the main straight is the first straight, and he comes through there now, and he gets sort of taking this lap kind of slowly. Probably just want to take that a little less, a little slower. Sorry, is Dennis? Who came up first? In fact,
Yeah, Yasuka.
Did he? I think it might have been ex-Dennis. And in fact, sorry, it was ex-Dennis, and he's gone a 15.2. That's a wonderful first sector. Now coming, sorry, now coming into this very nice turn. He gets very slidey through there, so his first sector needs to make it all up. He needs to make it all up in sector 3, so 27.9. So he hasn't lost too much time. He'd probably say he's lost about 10th, and Yusuka sets a 15.3, so just a 10th off. Now he's sticking with Dennis around this final, through that first sector, and then a few turns, and now Dennis comes through that final turn, coming through now, coming down this main straight, the first straight, as Joshy doesn't like to call it, and he sets a 106 flat. That's a very good time from ex-Dennis. Yusuka's going to have a hard time beating that. It's a 15.3 for Yusuka. He's only a 10th off in that first sector, and Yusuka goes even faster, 27.7 in that second sector. He needs to get it all right in that final sector, in that final turn, sorry. He's 2 tenths up on Dennis just in the first 2 sectors there, now coming through. He needs to get this final turn just right, and he's going to get it just right. He does. He doesn't get slide. He gets very close to the wall though, and Yusuka now comes across the line to set a 106.2, and Dennis goes through with an astonishing lap. So the man who possibly the odds were in his favour has gone out in this semi-final, in the first semi-final here, and that's going to be an interesting one, never to say the least. And Joshy, what do you make of
that? Well, it looked like Yusuka had the upper hand in sector 2. He was a 10th up. You said he was 2 tenths up. That was a lie.
2 tenths up.
In
he was.
No, but if you check sector 1, you can actually see that he was a 10th down in sector 1.
Okay, all right.
And actually, realistically, he wasn't even 2 tenths up in sector 2.
Okay, right. Anyway, we're not gonna have our maths man here. We'll cut back and to the end of the pit lane. We see Super Striker. I believe Super Striker will go out first before Nick, and I'm not. Yeah, I believe he is. He's lined up first, and so just a quick update. Dennis is now through to the finals. That he gets that possibility to perfect his lap and possibly take pole position here. So Super Striker now leaves the pits, and I'll hand it over to Joshy, since it is Joshy's lap to commentate. Joshy? Joshy?
Bengo Pizza.
Your turn, mate.
Oh, is it my turn?
It's your
God.
turn.
Who's walking out first?
Super Striker.
Super Striker. Where is Super Striker? Ah. Well, I have pizza now, so I'm happy. Anyway, that's besides the point. We're here looking at these fantastic drivers and Alex Tong drive around this beautiful track. Right, Super Striker. Oh, that's nice. I had to shut up. Anyway, Super Striker, currently now coming around the penultimate corner, now into the final corner, onto what Leo called. Well, he will be onto the Leo calls the first main straight. If you really think about it, it's like the final straight to line in it. Anyway, we now come across the line, which is really far back for some reason, and Super Striker is now starting his lap. There is still 2 cars sat on the track because people don't want to get rid of them. I'm not annoyed about that. You are. Anyway, Super Striker now coming around through Sector 1. Very tight, very hard to get right-ish, kind of. As now it comes into this left-hander. Ooh, didn't get as much of an apex as he might have wanted to, but it's a 15.429. That is a very, very, well, not very, very good, but it's a good sector 1. A good enough potential to beat Nick if he can't keep it that consistent. Now, Super Striker coming into, well, he's already in sector 2, but now into the main straight. The kind of flat, not so flat, a bit flat corner, depending on if you get a bad exit or not. And Super Striker has managed to have a decent run down there. It's at 27.8, but Nick's at a 20, not 20, a 15.366 in sector 1. Let's hope the Super Striker doesn't mess this up now coming into the final corner. We're going to see what lap time is he going to set. He's a 10th down in sector 1 is Super Striker, and he hits the wall. Oh, that can't be good. Can't be good, but Nick is a bit slow. He's at a 23.3 in sector 3. It isn't over yet. Nick is just a bit down. I'm not sure if that was the best exit there. So is Nick going to be able to beat out Super Striker in sector 3? I think he's, at the moment, he is up in time overall, and he goes, ooh, almost hits the wall there, but that is a very fine sector 3 there by Nick. Is Nick going to beat out Super Striker? Yes, he is. It's also 106.383, and, yeah, no. Not too surprising, but definitely quite close.
Into the finals, we will have the Envision duel head-to-head, and I'm just going to quickly go run out and delete them cars real quick. That are positioned out there. Let me just spawn a car and go quickly drive there. To the
Oh, look, my dip is so nice.
That's 2 seconds, and we go to the finals. Unless did I disconnect, or the driver's actually just sat there on the track? Okay, so once again, just a little update for you. Dennis versus Nick, the 2 Envision drivers, will be going head to head, and Dennis comes out on the track first, and now there's a very annoyingly placed from Super Striker in that first turn. Apologies. Hopefully the FIA will look into that. Because Super Striker's placed his car exactly on that first turn there. So we do watch now Dennis come through and gets very slidey out that hairpin actually, and we wait for him to start his comes through that final turn, and takes it nice and slow to prepare and get that good exit on that final turn. Now he comes on that final turn. He gets a very good exit through there. Needs to maintain that speed coming through that main straight. Now needs to maintain that, maintain a little bit more speed through there. Hits the curb slightly early. He wouldn't want to really do that normally, but stays nice and tight towards that apex and hits the wall. He's going to get slidey through there, and that's gonna ruin his lap slightly. But it's a 15.3 in the first sector, so that's a really good first sector from Dennis. And Nick's going to have a tough time beating that in the first sector, and Dennis really is going to show his pace through here. Now he's going to want to break roughly at the 100-meter zone, and he does, and he's going to touch the apex very nicely. Gets a bit slidey once again through there, and it's not going to be a brilliant sector 2 for him, but it's certainly going to be fast. It's a 28.2, so we've seen 27.3s, and Nick has once beat Dennis's first sectors with 15.2. Nick hasn't done that himself yet, but Dennis now coming through that final, that penultimate hairpin. Now coming into the final turn, he needs to perfect this and get still slidey. That bump on the ball for in sector 1 really has ruined his lap. Sort of, he's been slidey ever since, but it's a 106.5, so it's not a bad lap from the first Envision driver. Dennis and Nick is going rapid. It's a 15.2 in the first sector, 27.8 in the second sector. Nick wants this pole. Will he screw it up in the final turn? Currently he is on pace for that pole position. He is roughly 5 tenths up on Dennis right now, coming through there. Gets very close to the wall. He's got that perfectly timed and right, and it's going to be a 105.9, a perfect lap from Nick, and it goes through, and Nick takes the pole position here at Berlin E-Prix. That'll be pretty much it. I'm just going to see if we'll have any driver interviews, but once again, that will be Nick taking pole and Dennis second position. Dennis won't be that annoyed with that lap time, but Dennis will be a little bit annoyed with himself. He believed he probably could have done better. The odds were probably even for the two drivers, and Nick set an astonishing lap there and put that all together coming towards the end, and he cruised quite a way through the quarterfinals and semi-finals with a not too bad of a lap time for Nick, and then he comes through to the finals and puts everything together and takes that pole position here at Berlin. So I don't believe we have any driver interview, so once again Nick takes pole position, and that will be pretty much all from us today, and thank you for tuning in. That's pretty much it. The race is at, I don't know what time the race is at, so don't ask me that. Right, have a good day. Yeah, that's it.